Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. In today's video, we are going to be taking a quick look at Historical Board Gaming's new upcoming release, Kursk-Operation Zitadelle. So this game they've released in the past, but it's been revamped. The rules have been reworked and the map has been redone. It made it a lot prettier, and it's going to come as a boxed game where you can buy all of the pieces, or you can just buy the map and the player aids, I believe, too, because a lot of us have most of the pieces. If you have Global War 1936, then you might have most of the pieces that you need, although you'll see there's some pieces that you might have to get for this game as well. But anyway, you can buy it either way, and I'm going to show you that. I've got the whole game here. So let's take a quick look at it here. There we go. Let's just move around a bit. So Kursk, the Battle of Kursk was the single largest battle in the history of warfare. It was just enormous, and it was only a week long, approximately. But man, there was so much, like 70% of the German units on the Eastern Front took part in this battle. And basically what it was, like you see here, let me zoom out a bit here. Here, let me just pull back a bit then. So you can see this bulge here. This is called a salient. And what a lot of the Russian troops were up here in this salient. And so the German plan was to surround them, to come down from the north and come up from the south and trap these troops inside of this salient, and basically wipe them out or turn them into prisoners, and they could use those prisoners for the factories that they needed to build their arms. But they really screwed up in a few different ways. And first of all, they were supposed to begin the battle in, I think, April, approximately around there. But they didn't have all the pieces in place that they needed. They needed some more men and equipment there. Plus, they had some new armor coming online pretty quick, and they wanted to get those in. The Panther tank and the Ferdinand tank destroyer is a big beast of a tank destroyer, and they had a lot more Tigers coming, the heavy tanks, and so they wanted to wait a little bit, and they waited too long. Like the time that they spent waiting for these units to arrive and by getting ready and over talking it a lot between Hitler and his generals. The Russians knew they were coming. The British intelligence found out about the plan, and so the Russians knew long ahead of time that they were coming, and they dug right in, like really dug in, and so it just basically made it impossible for the Germans to accomplish their goals. So let's just take a look at the box game. Okay then, so here is the box, and it's got Kursk on it, Operation Zitadelle, and the designer, Bob Hatcher. Bob Hatcher is a good friend of mine. I'm going to see him in a few days. He's coming up to Prince George for the very first time for the Sky Marshal Cup. So if you purchase the game, you can, like I said, you can purchase it a couple of different ways, and I'm not entirely certain how that's going to break down. Not my department. But anyway, I know with if you buy everything that this is what you're going to get. So you got the box, and let's open it up here. So this thing here, you don't get this. I purchased this myself to be able to put the pieces in, because this is going to be a win it before you can buy it game. Here, I'll just let you take a quick look in there before I move the box out of the way. So this is going to be one of the prizes at the Sky Marshal Cup, and I would assume that it's going to be one of the first ones chosen. What we do, Sky Marshal and I, is we just throw all the prizes on a table, and then whoever wins, they get to go and pick off the table first, and then second place and third place, and that's how it goes. Anyway, this is pretty cool. This is all 3D pieces, and it's all the units that you would have found in this Battle of Kursk. So the right tanks and everything, like we've got your a couple of different kinds of heavy tanks for the Germans, a lot of tank destroyers. Here's that Ferdinand heavy tank destroyer. So there's tank destroyers, heavy tank destroyers. There's regular medium tanks, and there's heavy tanks. There's mechs, of course. There's artillery, and there's heavy artillery. Lots of bunkers in the game. Do they call them bunkers? They might call them something else in this game. Anyway, there's tons of these. So I was mentioning earlier, you might have to buy some things if you didn't buy all these pieces, because most people don't have this many bunkers. I think there's 34 included in the game. 23 for the Russians and 11 for the Germans. And I haven't played this game yet, but I assume that's because of that long build-up that I was mentioning earlier, and the fact that they got to dig in. So from what my initial scan of the rules was, the bunkers take 2 hits to take out, and they defend at 5. So that's pretty cool. And then there's your German soldiers. There's a couple of different kinds, and your Russian soldiers. They're the greatcoat ones. Lots of tank destroyers, heavy tank destroyers. This was a huge tank battle, right? Lots of T-34s, of course, and heavy tanks for the Russians, and mechs, and then planes. The first day of the battle, July 5th, 1943, that was the largest aerial battle in the history of warfare. Maybe even to this day, I'm not sure. But anyway, lots of planes in Kursk. Like, it was a huge battle, you know. Like, I can't even imagine that many forces and that much armor and planes and everything flying over the same region. That would have just been something else. So I chose with this set to paint them gray. And then the Russians brown. But yeah, they're all in gray, I think. Well, some of the German pieces were in black, but so I had to paint them, and that's pretty easy. You can paint them really nicely if you want, or you like these things here. These are supplies. Doug thought that it would be nice to give you these supply markers instead of just using the round markers that say supply on them. So I painted these up because that's a pretty easy paint job, right? Anyway, I thought that I'd do that for this game. And anyway, that's kind of cool that Doug's given you these instead of just the markers for the game. But you'll get all of these pieces in the game for sure. You just don't get the carrying case. That's something that you would have to go out and purchase for yourself. You get the roundels, of course. Anyway, so let's take a look at some of the other stuff here. So here's the rule book. One of the cool things about this game is like, if you want to play a really involved, huge game, you can just play Global War, right? I mean, you know how big that is if you've ever, if you watched my channel for a while, you know. But this game here, check it out here. We'll just get to the back of the rule book here. It's only 10 pages long. So, like, this is an easier game to play. It looks like it's there's lots to do with supply. And bunkers, of course. I haven't played it, but it does look slightly different, like a little bit different than Global War, but basically the same thing. Kind of like all of these games are a lot like Axis and Allies, right? There's slight variations. So should be a simple rule book for you to learn. That's something that you could play with your kids, you know, like say your 10 to 12-year-old kids if you wanted. And then it comes with the cardboard reference sheets. Like, there's the Soviet Union, so there's all the units there, and reinforcements. I don't think you need money in this game. I think that I'll show you the reinforcement chart in a minute. And there's your setup chart there. Anyway, it all looks pretty straightforward. So there's the Russian one. Here's the German one here. Slightly different units, both of them. Like they mostly got the same thing. Like there's infantry and mechs and a couple of different kinds of artillery. But like the Germans have one or two units that the Russians don't have, and the Russians have a unit or two that the Germans don't have. Okay, so and on the other side, of course, so you've got your setup chart. So there you go. Okay, so here is the reinforcement point. So that's basically your IPP chart. You know, like you probably wouldn't even need money. You would just put your markers on how much money you would get. And I'm not sure what this is. Bob's going to be here anyway. So he designed this game. So whoever wins this particular game, they could open it up and they could ask him how to play it. I'm sure he could give them a tutorial in just a couple of minutes, because they're all pretty really good global war players that are coming. So these two are exactly the same. The attack and defend are on the same side of the chart here. So there you go. You get two of those. And then, of course, you get some chips. I didn't put any dice in here, but you get 6 dice as well with the game. But there's your chips there. And then there's these things here. These are your air bases. So there you go. Because like I don't know, I haven't read the rules like I said, but I think the planes just go back to the air bases, and that's where you would have your supplies. So there's a couple of German ones and there's a couple of Soviet ones. And I look on the map here and I see that there are like, where are we here? I think I've seen where the air bases go. Like there's one right in Kursk over there. Here's one right here. Here's one over here. So I assume that these are like task force markers, where these would be off the board, and then you wouldn't have all the planes in there and the supplies. You would just have them on these things like task force markers, right? So anyway, it all looks pretty good. I like the looks of it. I like the simplicity. You know, like it's not simple like a game of Risk. Like it's a lot more challenging than that. There's a lot of different pieces and everything. But here, let's just close this up again. So yeah, but simple enough that, you know, like you don't have to have a degree in global war to play it, right? And it's nice to get into some of these theater games, because you don't always have 3 days to play a game, 2 or 3 days like it takes to play a big massive game of 14 or 36. This game, you'll be playing it in 1 day, I'm sure. And there's some other theater games that are coming out. Like recently they put out the Rome game. I'm not at liberty to say what the other games that are coming out. That's up to Doug to release that information when he wants to. But there's some good looking theater games that are coming out. And a couple more global war games, including Global War 1985, which has been released for pre-order. And that's going to be shipping pretty darn soon. That looks like an excellent game. So hopefully you get in on that. But this one, I really like the look of this one. I tell you, if I win this Sky Marshal Cup, I've never taken a prize in the past, but if I win, I'm taking this prize. I'm telling you that right now. Because I like this. I did all the painting for it and everything, and it looks really good. And this, of course, was one of the major battles in World War II. Like this, along with Stalingrad, were the turning points in World War II. This was the last major offensive that the Germans made, and the first time they were actually stopped from reaching their end objectives. Even though they lost the battle in Stalingrad, they still made it to where they were trying to get to. They lost in counterattacks, right? But this one, they didn't actually make it into Kursk like they had wanted to. That this was the turning point in the war on the Eastern Front. And while this was happening, the invasion of Italy happened just after this battle began. And so this battle only lasted a week because of that, because all the reserves that were held back by the Germans for the second wave of attack, they never sent them in because they wanted to send them back for the thing in Italy, right? Like they didn't know that D-Day was still another year off, and they couldn't commit all of their troops to the Eastern Front. So that basically ended this battle. Was poor planning on their part, taking too long to get there, and then the invasion in Italy there. So yeah, this was a major battle, though, biggest battle in the history of warfare, and it's available coming up in any day now, really. I think he's gonna put it for sale this week or next week. I'm not sure, but I know he's got all the components ready to go, and he was just waiting for me to get it and put it together, and we're going to give it out at the Sky Marshal Cup, and I think that's when he puts it on sale. So, thanks for joining me today, everyone. I know I haven't done a video in a while. Things have been changing in my life recently, and I've been very busy. But you'll be seeing some videos from the Sky Marshal Cup for sure. We got lots of people coming to town for that, and I like to make videos of when we get together. So you'll be seeing some videos next weekend. It starts a week from today. So tune in. Anyway, take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.